Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. Today is, where are we? I think it's Tuesday, 7th of July. It's kind of cool. Today, we had Kevin come on, talk to the audience about his awesome stock and crypto picks. So I think they got pretty good value out of that. And we had a nice little rant from Brian there to start the show off. So it kind of feels like we're getting into the summer doldrums right now. Dog's days of summer, all that kind of talk. We're into the first 2 weeks of the new quarter, obviously earnings season. I also feel too like we just made it through that celestial transition window, and I can kind of feel like the world tension, if you will, is it's ratcheted down a bit, which makes me feel a lot better. So we'll be watching sort of where the money is flowing over the course of the rest of this week and probably into options expiry there on the 17th. Just to get an idea of where the money managers think the economy is from a sector rotation perspective. As you can see from our little breadth indicator here, we turned back up a couple days ago, and on balance, I think as I had sort of said, we kind of felt like the panic maybe had subsided a bit from the market. The Fed's come in and shot its wad. That's done now. The question ultimately is, with this earnings reporting season, we're probably going to see a lot of earnings numbers come out really ugly, but you actually see the stock move up, and you're like, why does that happen? And I get the impression that through that March sell-off, all the analysts just said, take everything to zero. And all expectations were slashed. And now, ironically enough, if companies can do even a little bit better than that absolutely worst case scenario, then they may actually catch a bid here. We did actually a really good study in yesterday's daily brief. We have one of our UK OGers come on, Jamie, who loves to do fundamental analysis, top-down macro analysis. And we did play sort of connect the dots in that the Fed has basically doubled their balance sheet, i.e. the purchasing power of the currency's fallen in half. But at the same time, too, so that means like stock prices, if they just stay the same, should double. But at the same time, too, earnings revisions have been dramatically lowered. And the question ultimately is, in that new lowered earnings expectation environment, what does a fair sort of earnings per share relative to what the price is in the marketplace, how does that work out? I mean, it's kind of complicated to sort of mentally think of that. But the long and short of it here is we actually did some very simple math, and it turns out that actually where the stock market is right now, the S&P is sitting 3,100. Ironically enough, with the Fed dilution and the reduction in corporate earnings, the number should come out to about 3,200 if everything is sort of level. So what a coincidence. Here we are sitting 3,168. And I do get the impression that people have just sort of, like you've heard me say recently, violently flat. So, with the expectations of earnings being a nightmare, with the fact that the Fed has gone and diluted the purchasing power of the currency, do we now sit in this new trading range established based on all that phony baloney math? And then, we all see, of course, Corona's ramping back up. Our economy's going to have to shut back down, and then we'll have to go through the whole damn thing again. We'll see. Only time will tell. It is interesting to see that, and really this is exactly what I would expect for the next 15 years, is that the high growth proxies in the market are going to do very, very well. In fact, I wouldn't even be surprised that we actually get into the conversation in the not too distant future. The NASDAQ actually starts to outperform the Dow, and it's actually a higher number. That really wouldn't surprise me, people. But we'll see. Only time will tell. With regard to today's market, obviously the big winner here today seems to be risk off, interestingly enough. Um, as I had comments I'd sort of made here recently, I mean, be careful with chasing gold markets and chasing bulls. Clearly the gold is in a bull. And actually, I even put out a tweet today where I actually feel like we've come to almost have the perfect storm for gold right now, which is a little scary. Because gold is technically a fear proxy, and it is sort of the end of the system, everything's going to rat shit. One thing I would suggest, those aspiring traders out there, we have an old rule in the futures industry that if you ever see a futures contract itself, because keep in mind they're individual on their own. If you ever see a futures contract itself, either trade at new highs, a new contract highs, or new contract lows, that's actually just a buy signal unto itself. So, as you can clearly see, this gold market just keeps making new contract highs, made another new contract high. So, I mean, the path of least resistance right now is up. There's no doubt about that. If you were able to sneak your way in off of bot levels, awesome, great. There's nothing for you to do. Just enjoy the ride. I am playing this through a gold stock, but that's just me personally. I like stocks. And of course, Julian's long 1 million pounds of gold, so you can imagine how happy he is here today. But what I think is probably going to happen, and this will be the contract that people will be focusing in on, is I think this contract is going to head into some sort of parabolic move into that big November celestial event, U.S. election. Oh my God, this is going to be a nightmare. And the end of this Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto conjunct event window. So get ready, folks. This is going to be a wild ride, and follow the chalk marks. Show me a new high, and I'll show you a buy. That's actually where that expression comes from, if you think about futures contracts themselves. So the gold market is definitely has people's attention. Interesting to see the bonds are trying to join gold's euphoria here. And I have debated about whether I thought this was actually a harmonic level coming in here on the stock market. And also, too, I think there's a bigger harmonic there on the NASDAQ. I think I drew that out the other day. So I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see some sort of resistance come in up top here. The way I like to trade the stock market is through this funny little ETF. Theoretically, the SOX index is the ultimate leading indicator for the stock market. So it did break to this inverse ETF, broke to new lows there the other day. But I think I also told you that what I'm starting to see on the lower time frames is divergences. Yep, and actually we can see. So if we get MACD above, what is that? 0.02, and right now we are at 0.02, so if you see 0.03, then that means the div is confirmed. Then if I get any kind of W action here, I will be going and buying this. So just be forewarned. Violently flat. So we've gone and rallied, like I said, right back up to the top end of the range. If it's violently flat, then that means we're probably going to see some sort of pivot and go screaming back down. So get ready. And you can see that gold market. In fact, we might even be getting Uber signals here. No Ubers yet. Had a bit of an... no, not really. I would have liked to have seen it gone Uber and then break out of this high. So it going to new high and that forcing it to Uber is not a signal for me. So we haven't gone uber bullish here yet. So I'm not really thinking, here's great Uber signal in here. And you got that pop out through the top there. And then it consolidated and then woo! So, it's an upbeat market. Nice bullish railroad tracks there off the 4 hours. Pretty powerful base there now. And congratulations to all you gold bugs. I remember maybe a couple months ago, I got a little upset at people going, okay, gotta buy gold, invest in gold, it's the future. And this gold market reminds me exactly of Bitcoin when it went 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, 13,000. I mean, was it really a good idea to step in on the buy side and quote unquote invest in that environment? Well, if you were patient and disciplined, you could have bought your Bitcoins at 2, 3,000 the following year. So, well, 3,000, let's say. I mean, I'm a trader, so if I see trade setups come in, I'll trade it. You know, I think I told you guys I bought a whack of Newmont call options. That'll be the way that I'll play this move. And I got a whole bunch of my little penny VCIM names, but really good example. One of the VCIM names, I thought this was fascinating, and here I go. Brian's going to talk for 2 hours here again. Ooh, notice my Tello. Jesus. Did you get any of this Tello, Kevin? Man, this thing just keeps perking up here. But that's not the subject matter here today. This is a really, really good example where this company totally reorganized themselves. You can see the rollback, shares for debt, options to directors. They went out and got a property and they're ready to rock and roll. And the government of Canada basically said, sorry, you're not doing any work in the field this summer. We're not really going to be doing a hell of a lot of permitting, and we're going to make your life really difficult with all this COVID stuff. So they announced that they're just going to put their 2020 exploration program on hold and just wait till 2021. And the stock just got ripped. Full disclosure, I'm in here on the buy side. But I don't really mind this. These kind of ideas, I'm more than happy to sit on this thing for the next year or two if I have to. With that kind of chart and only 17 million shares out, I'm not in a hurry whatsoever, and I'm more than happy to buy all the stock you want to sell me down. Candle body lows, right? Probably if we do reload zones, you're going to see that those are levels. I'm more than happy to be a buyer here. But let's see. So you can see there is the reload zone. And Brian's got his bid in here. I'm actually bidding 15, so I actually need some of you to come along. It's sitting 16. And there's so many TRIers bidding down at the bottom end of the range here. We stopped the bear. I don't know whether we want this or not, but we did. Anyway, here's what it is. So, you know, in this kind of environment, when I'm buying my little venture stocks and like this, I'm buying more structure. I'm not really buying the hype. So I'm more than happy just to sit on these kind of things. But like for the big gold market and playing that market kind of idea, and this sort of short-term push, I'm playing this Newmont, right? I went and bought these calls, and trade looks like it's doing okay. So I'll just say, and I mean, it's ridiculous. I paid like $300 for this position. And if the market actually goes to my target up here, which I think is perfectly realistic, this silly position is going to be worth like $3,600. I mean, that's insane. So, I mean, like I said, a trader's got to trade. I'll just, I'll just take setups as they come in. But I definitely think that this is the end of the gold move, not the beginning. All right. So, actually, I haven't even talked about this screen here today yet, have I? How ironic. And even before I started the video, I said, okay, Kevin, this will be a nice 5-10 minute video. Good luck. All right, so U.S. dollar index. Interesting how we did our market symmetry study, and off of this peak of the midpoint, we're kind of looking for a pullback, and that's basically what we've gotten here. I would expect a nice little counter-trend rally at some point on the dollar index here. Maybe this is sort of like, does the Senate kill the next stimulus vote? Whatever, I don't know. If we go right off of that bar, it should look something like that. But I am looking for some sort of counter trend rally here. And if you kind of look at the stock market and the oil market, both risk proxies, it kind of looks like we could see a bit of a pullback. And also, too, I wonder whether Bitcoin's little recent quote-unquote breakout was nothing more than just a trap, but we'll see what happens. So this image really hasn't changed much, and believe it or not, call me crazy, but this is pretty much what I'm expecting for the rest of the year. Yuck. But nothing really new to do there today. If I am thinking maybe there'll be counter trend rally in US dollar, take us back up here a bit, risk off. You can see stocks are kind of getting nosebleedy here. We had sort of mused whether this would be a harmonic. I mean, interestingly enough, off a clothesline basis, that actually is not a bad Gartley level there, 61.8. I had talked about this inside bar failure there a few days ago, and the market melted down, and then things started to firm up. Our breadth indicator started to turn, and little short proxies that I had on, I just took off. Boom, big rally, but here we are back. I think there was a little bit of a gap right up top here, so that probably was filled in, and then they stopped her. Here we go again. And interestingly enough, I talked to you guys about this oil market the other day. You can see they pulled her back down a good chunk here. Nothing's really changed here on this image over the past couple of days. If there's any sort of signs of failure in here, this is not a bad place to be thinking about hunting shorts again. Like I showed you on that SOX S, that sort of plays around into where the hell was that? Now I lost the chart. This kind of thinking. Bull div starting to form. You can see the W is trying to come in. Nice little empire right there. Even if we just said, I'm not looking for a huge bull market. Remember, violently flat. Well, what could we see as a rally out of here? Believe it or not, I could easily see this thing jump a good $1 from these levels. So, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some money to be made here. Is that a gap? Oh yeah, look, there's a big hole right there. So my hunch is they're probably going to bring this thing right back up there. Anyway, we'll see how this goes. Only time will tell. And, if I do pull the trigger, I'll let you guys know. So nothing there. And then, of course, like we said, gold just having a good old time. I got to give props out to you gold bugs. I remember specifically watching the gold right through here when we were like, is this going to break 1666.20? And no, it didn't. And all the gold bugs go, phew. And you look at the chart, the bot levels speak for themselves. I don't know whether it's a good idea to come in and chase up top here. If we do rally up to 1834 and then start showing signs of failure, unfortunately I can't buy this bot anymore. Because then if the market does come down to this level, you got to walk away at scratch. Sucks. That's the way it goes. So all you gold bugs, what you really want to see is just just grind your way up here. Here's a good example of that in crypto. Imagine that, eh? I suppose we can talk about this later, but why don't we talk about it now? So here, and it's a trader's life. You don't know what's going to happen. You can see the same sort of gold body kind of action, and chunk, just drives itself right up into the target here. So, you gold bugs, that's what you want to see, is just relentless buying. And of course, like I said, that if gold does rally up to $2,000, Julian's just going to be insufferable. But I suppose there's worse problems to have than a guy who's made a shitload of money. In the individual stock markets itself, I'm kind of a slowpoke. Remember, I'm an old man, right? I'm fucking 50 years old. Jesus. I like the nice, simple, take low risk, buy against the bottom end of range, work your orders to sell halves on doubles, and just be patient. But it often is exactly that. It's an exercise in patience. And there are some times when I just get left behind. Market either doesn't come down into my level, or it rallies up like there was one Funko. Oh, it just pissed me off. And now the thing's right back down to the bottom. I mean, it does happen. It's a trader's life. This one, look how close I came to getting my fill here. Look at that, eh? I mean, what a piss off. That's ridiculous. But, oh well. I mean, you can see where I'm long from, so it's just basically the market's money right now that I'm playing with. But I just leave my money to work, just let it do its thing. And the irony of it all is I fully expect this gap way up here at some point to be filled in. Probably, that might be like 2021. Maybe that's when Mandalorian action figures and shit get all exciting again. Who knows? But anyway, that's a good example of a trade that's just doing its thing. Here's another one, and this one's kind of funny because I'm literally within my order to sell half on a double is at 375. So right there. I mean, look at this. It's just just an exercise in patience and discipline. Made another new high today. Can't complain. Now, why could I feel comfortable thinking that that's a level that I can get a fill at? Well, you can see this island up here. So the bottom, or actually the top of the gap, beg your pardon, but the very bottom of this candle here, that low is, where is that low? 382. So I could make the argument that really the market should, in fact it should, actually come all the way right up to this candle body level there at 390. So I just got to be patient. And like I said, I got my order. That's the gap, but I've got my order just sort of sitting in the middle of the gap. Don't want to be too greedy. I just got to be patient and disciplined. And the only reason why I mention this here today, because this is such a great example of patience and discipline. Yeah, Guillermo. Thank you, Guillermo. You're probably not watching this now. Guillermo went through and did all the math on the S&P and the revision of earnings and the dilution of the currency to come up with that number, and we came up with 3207 on the S&Ps as fair value. So, gee whiz, what a coincidence. The S&Ps right now are sitting, I don't know what the hell they are. It's about 3,100 and change. 30, what does that say? 3162, something like that. So really, ironically enough, the market is actually fairly valued right now. Even though people go, this is ridiculous. Anyway. All right, so interesting analogy of patience and discipline. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. I'm just waiting for my levels. And that a lot of stocks I'm in right now, I mean, we're a million miles away from where we bought them. The account balances are nice and healthy, very green. But I can't report any banging out doubles trades today because we're just not there. We haven't got any fills. And, you cannot, rule something for you to learn, and you just have to understand this as a trader. You cannot assume that this is a win right now. It's just a trade that's just midstream. This thing might just crap out, and I've set my level where I declare victory, and until that level is traded to, and I see the print in my account and the cash in my account for exchange of shares, it's just paper profits, and they're kind of meaningless. So, anyway, interesting lecture there for you today. Large cap versus small cap. Really, and actually I see a lot of this. I mean, when the small caps were going absolutely apeshit here, this kind of thing would jump like $1 or $2 on a day. It's up like 10 cents a share. Big deal. We're not seeing a lot of movement in the little ones. Obviously, if you come out with any sort of news that has anything to do with COVID vaccines or anything like that, your little pharmaceutical stock will go crazy. I can't remember exactly what the news was that drove Kevin's stock yesterday, but they all went ape shit. And that's good. I mean, hey, profit's a profit. It's all good. But the point that I would just make, and this is, and actually through Kevin's presentation today, it was sort of the same theme that, we're cheap asses by nature. So when you look at a chart like this, even just looking at this range alone, this is versus the Dow, right? We probably should just look at like an index. Are we cheap near the bottom end of the range, or are we expensive near the top end of the range? Well, right now, we're not really cheap. We're not really overly expensive, but again, I'm a cheap ass. If I'm a cheap ass, that means I want down here to justify buying. And right here, it's kind of like Bitcoin at $10,000. I mean, is Bitcoin cheap at $10,000? No. We know what the cost of production is. But can the market keep moving higher? Sure, market can do any old damn thing it wants. So right now, this is exactly the same as Bitcoin. And again, that's sort of think that violently flat kind of market state. It's going to be tough really picking new names here that are both cheap and have serious volume pouring in and strong price momentum. It's going to be tough to find those kind of names in this environment. And interestingly enough, you know where they are coming in? They're actually coming in the altcoins. Go figure. Heading on, and that's sort of like this kind of conversation about the poop coins, right? Heading on over to crypto. I hate to say it, but same old, same old. Violently flat. Geez, you've heard this a couple times from Ryan. That's one hell of a trading range. And as I said yesterday, I still have to be thinking down here as long as this level isn't taken out. And oh no, and they're not going to go and put in another goddamn inside bar reversal failure here, are they? Remember we said last week, and maybe it was a week or two ago, that failure. Are they going to do the same thing here? And you remember, and I put out tweets and stuff to this effect where I was like, okay, I wanted to add to my Ethereum shorts. Give me a nice rally into trade location. Got it. Now, give me a nice inside bar, some nice polite price action to let me actually get short. And no, they took the market to new highs. They brought it all the way back down here, and now it's just a big fat doji right on the trend line. There's just nothing for me to do here just yet. I would have preferred this be just a nice polite inside bar fail and then collapse, but no. You can't always get what you want. I think Mick Jagger had a song about that once years ago. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here, but if I do get a nice rolling top here, a nice failure, I'll probably go buy some more puts. But nothing for me to do here today. And, the message that I had for the site was you can see Bitcoin's OBV. I mean, that breakout, that double bottom, that was damn unimpressive. But we have a rule at TRI that if you see a bullish divergence in your momentum indicators and you are bearish, you probably ought to just cool your jets. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. We got the bull div there in Ethereum. You can see the cute little W's coming in on RSI. Bull div on Bitcoin. Bull div on Litecoin as well. Cute little W's and RSI, blah, blah, blah. So if you are a bear, maybe just let's cool our jets and let this shit play itself out. Usually MACD moves happen in 4, 8s, 12s, and 16. So we've got 1, 2, probably 2 more days, 3, 4. And then we start to see whether this up move is for real or not. And also, too, we've been sort of kicking this idea around the site that it feels as though coming out of the weekend, we've seen this happen a few times. They pump the market up and then they kind of bleed it out through the remainder of the week. I don't know whether that's what's going to happen here or not. I mean, it's way too early to make any kind of predictions about that. The fact that Bitcoin went to a new high, the fact that Ethereum went to a new high, that means I can't short. And, MACD, histogram, bullish divs, cool your jets. And that's really, I think, what I'm thinking right now. If this does set up politely here, I'm going to go and hit it. But the one area of the market that really caught my attention was Litecoin. Notice this volume did break out. And you notice the pullback volume here today is not crapping OBV out. Notice crap out, not even a moving average test on Bitcoin. So this to me really speaks to kind of that altcoin kind of environment, right? Big boy POW. Big boy, I'm the computer of the world. What the hell does a Litecoin do? I mean, what's so special about it? Well, maybe Charlie Lee and all that kind of stuff, special use case scenario, fundamental drivers, whatever. But this one looks the strongest out of all of these, which I've been saying repeatedly lately, I'm not really, ironically enough, I think Bitcoin's just stuck in a trading range, violently flat. And ironically enough, through the violently flat environments, that's often when the altcoins actually do really well. So, I think I just showed you a moment ago, and there's a bunch of them all over the place here. A lot of these little altcoins are really, they're kicking ass right now. The one that I wanted to show you that we've been sort of walking you through here was this VET. And if I'm not mistaken, look at that. So, fantastic analogy of trader's life. If the trade comes in, you just got to take the trade, and you can see how close they are to ringing the register. Some damn fine trading, if you ask me. And there's tons of these little setups all over the place in crypto right now. It's quite remarkable. And, I think I sort of said, well, if they want to take this poop index, if it really is a bull, well, just blast it up through the highs here. Hate to say it, folks, but it sure looks like that's what they're trying to do here. And, I think that this is heavily weighted towards things like Link, right? And Link put out sort of messages recently. This is a very, very uppy looking chart. Broke out through a very wide consolidation range, very solidly, cup and handle kind of thing. Believe it or not, this range here, 733 up to 871, I think that's a slam dunk. The question ultimately here, and this reminds us during the daily brief, I talked about this with the community. This reminds me of a certain lady's penthouse that we used to talk about. Maybe you can, in the comments to this video, you can mention whose penthouse we're talking about. If you can say this person's penthouse, then I know that you've been around crypto for a while and you followed TRI, because we had a lot of fun talking about it last cycle. But in essence, I'll give you a hint. Here, let's see how I can do this. Oh, you're not going to scale, you son of a bitch. Oh, well. These are the kind of levels that I'm thinking about now on this thing. So, believe it or not, $16 on this thing is not out of the question for a guy like me here. It's probably going to rally somewhere up into here. So, again, it is a story-specific market. Is Bitcoin breaking out to new highs right now? No, it's not even anywhere close. Kind of like what I said about that gold contract. Show me a new high, and I'll show you something. So, man, very, very strong. And actually, you're seeing some volume follow through here, too. Looks like today's volume is going to break yesterday's volume, too. So the buyers are buying. Individual stories that we've just been sort of just walking you through here. This DGB, Digibyte, you can see. I've shown you this chart repeatedly. You can see, there she goes. So, this icon's such a cool example in that, one message that you absolutely have to understand if you watch this video stream repeatedly, consistently, there is no one right way to trade. The right way to trade is what works for you as an individual. Often we get absolutely insane blow-off wicks and tails in crypto, and you go, and I've had people say, how can I possibly use that range? That blow-off top was on like 0.01 BTC. Is that even real? So here is an example where I'm going to actually clothesline this bot. Because if I clothesline it, you can actually see the market actually respected 66. And you can actually see a really pretty inverted head and shoulders that's come in. And the bot level just so happens to be basically that neckline breakout. We have sort of sharpshooter traders on the site that love to hunt this right shoulder of the potential inverted head and shoulders. So here's sort of like your slick kick-ass trade. But hell, I don't have a problem if you said, well, Brian, I'm going to go in and buy against this 3,700 level, and I will risk to a close below 2,700 level, so 1,000 sats, with the expectation that I'll be selling this at 6,800 sats, or basically double what I bought it at. Perfectly fine. Really, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's what works best for you, what produces the least amount of anxiety. So when you look at a chart, you see the information that's in your plan that tells you to act, and you act. So just yet another example of a setup that's just doing its thing. Get out there. Get out there and find the setups. They're there. I mean, they're all over the place. It was great. Kevin today showed us a whole bunch of names he's interested in. I threw in a few names that interest me. I mean, look at this MUE. To me, that's got profit written all over it. I mean, I don't know what the hell these guys do. I thought it was interesting. There was a name that I mentioned recently, and people on social media were like, "You're crazy. Yeah, that thing's a piece of shit." Remember, I bought Verge at 2 sats when nobody would touch the fucking thing, and I was selling it in the thousands of sats. So here's an example. I have no clue what the hell's going to happen here. But you tell me, are there any letters of the alphabet that Brian might be slightly interested in? If we do 50% retraces of this current range, is there an opportunity to double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, sextuple, 10 billion tuple your money? I think so. But, the sad part about it is the public will only get interested in when this goddamn thing is doing this nonsense. So anyway, just get out there and have some fun. Like I said earlier, if you go and look in the stock market, there's not a hell of a lot of stocks that look like this. But you go into crypto and gee whiz, there are a lot of coins that are looking like this. So, it is what it is. Have some fun out there, people. Just try to remember what your number one job is, right? You don't know what the hell's going to happen in the future. And if anybody tells you that they know, they're full of horse shit. All you can do is trade your setups, all right? And then, of course, obey solid risk management. So then, if the market does prove you wrong, turns out you're not nearly as smart as you thought you were, well, if you have to take a loss, it doesn't kill you. And trust me, you will never be right 100% of the time. You will be wrong. So don't put yourself in a position where being wrong hurts too much. Okay, I think I'll finish the rant at that. Hope you got some value out of it. Obviously, these charts are getting extremely busy. Slow and steady wins the race. And, of course, if you do need help with that sort of, our community, great. Constantly, this little juggernaut. Tons and tons of conversation in the lounge, even as I'm doing this video. And somebody saying, hey, they're thinking about buying some more down here. So go figure. We all try to work together. That is sort of the big selling feature of TRI. We're not going to bill ourselves as you subscribe to our site, you're guaranteed to make money, because that's not the way trading works. But at the same time, too, you want to set yourself up that you're running a nice, consistent, small business of trading where you see your account balance growing over time. You are being proved wrong by the market and acting appropriately. And then, of course, when you are proved right, you are paying yourself. That's what we do as traders. Okay, I got to shut the hell up here. Have yourselves a great day, everybody. All the best. And Kevin, you want to take us out of here? Are you still here? The only thing left for DRI to say today is...
Bye for now.